Hey, what's going on, everybody? I wanted to make a short video about the different types of engines that are in semi trucks. Perhaps you're wanting to buy a truck and you don't really know much about the particular engines. I know when I first started driving, I just paid attention a little bit. I was like, oh, it's a red engine or it's a light blue engine or it's a green engine, and I did not know much about it. I could honestly care less. I didn't have any major intentions of becoming an owner operator. Now, with that being said, you have your major brands. First of all, you have Freightliner. Freightliner's main engine that it works with is a Detroit. They have a DD13, which is specifically for regional hauling. It's a little bit less horsepower. And then they have the DD15. In fact, I believe they have a DD16 as well, but that's rare. I think you see that more in heavy hauling and stuff like that. And one thing about Freightliner is that it's paired with Western Star, the brand Western Star, if you've seen it. And Freightliner, those are basically the same manufacturer. It's Daimler, I think, is the name of the company. So with a Freightliner, you can get one of two engines in it, unless you get it custom and get a cat in it, which is, you see that sometimes. But you can either get a DD13 or DD15, or you can have a Cummins engine in it. Now, you cannot have any other engine other than that, other than maybe a cat or a different model of Detroit. Just generally speaking, buying one used, you're not going to find one with anything other than a Cummins or a Detroit engine inside of it. The next brand we have, I'm going to say Kenworth. All right, Kenworth and Peterbilt. A lot of people say, oh, I won't drive nothing but a Peter, or I like my Kenworth W900, blah 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 blah. Totally cool, great trucks. Though that is both owned by PACCAR. Now, if you've noticed a trend here, you have Western Star, Freightliner, owned by Daimler, and then you have Kenworth and Peterbilt, owned by PACCAR. All right. Now, just like Freightliner and Western Star has their own engine, the Detroit DD13, the Peterbilt and Kenworth have their own engine, the PACCAR. That is the PACCAR MX13. All right. So when you buy a Kenworth or a PACCAR, you can either get a Kenworth or a Peterbilt. You can either get a Cummins engine in it, or you can get a PACCAR MX13 engine in it. PACCAR, and I'm gonna put what they look like up here. Sorry if I'm not pointing like I should, but I'm gonna put it up here what it looks like. So a PACCAR, you get a lot of mixed reviews about it. Some people hate them. Most people don't like them. Most people don't want to buy them. You can find them for a lot more cheaper. Just like my previous video, the Internationals with the, the Internationals are usually cheaper because of the brand International, even if you get a Cummins in it. With Peterbilt and Kenworth, it's different. You get a Peterbilt or a Kenworth cheaper if it has the PACCAR engine inside of it. If it has the Cummins, it's more expensive, and that should tell you a little bit about the engine just in general, that most people prefer the Cummins engine inside the Kenworth versus the manufacturer's engine, the PACCAR or the MX13. And the one major thing, me personally, that I've heard more than anything is that when you have the manufacturer's engine, not as much to Detroit, but with the PACCAR, they have so much complicated coding within the computer software that only a PACCAR certified tech can work on it sometimes. You go to any regular shop on the road, any diesel tech in any kind of city, not everybody has the software and the ability to work on those. You end up having to take it to the dealership, and the dealership costs way more money. You end up being at the dealer all the time. And it's the same situation with the next truck that I'm getting to, which is the International. We talked about the International in the Cummins in the International on one of my other videos. Now, with the International, you have two options that you can get inside the International. You can get the A26, which is actually just been upgraded to S24. All right, but that's all a branch off of the Max Force engine. If you're new and this all sounds French to you, go look up Max Force engine. Was it a good engine or not? Major recalls. I don't know what year it came out. I want to say 2014 or something like that. And it was their big thing was making an aluminum block engine and try to make it lighter so it can produce better fuel economy and stuff like that. Well, they learned that it was throwing liners, it was messing up, the engines were practically blowing up, and so many recalls occurred that everybody went from calling international to intertractional, and they hated that truck. And then now it's common that more trucks you see is with a Cummins engine in it versus a Max Force, which later turned to A26, which later turned to S24, which I think the S24 may be better now since they've learned. But you can end up finding an international with a Cummins in it for more expensive than you can find an international with an A26 in it. That's going to be less expensive, similar to the PACCAR. To the PACCAR trucks, to the Kenworth and Peterbilt. You get a Cummins, it's more expensive. MX-13 is less expensive. International, you get a Cummins in it, it's more expensive. You get an international A26 in it, it's going to be less expensive. I would advise against not getting that truck. I've thought so many times over and over again, and almost every single time my mechanic listens to me and he says, I just don't know why you're going to do it. And it's like, I can at least use my context clues enough to realize that everybody talks bad about them. Why would I do it? Why would I take the risk? But then you hear some people saying, oh, great reliability, it's good. But same thing, the parts network with PACCAR and the parts network, well, the PACCAR might not be a problem with parts, but you're going to be stuck at a dealer. The international A26, those parts are harder to come across, even though it's a domestic type truck. You would think it'll also have you in the dealer more. Also, I hear from most people say the A26 will break down more frequently with small stuff, and that's just missed revenue. That's breaking down while on a load. That's just something you don't want to deal with. From my experience with Cummins, I've owned 4 different Cummins, 3 different Cummins, no 4, and the breakdowns, when it happens, they're big. You're looking at thousands, 4 or 5,000, but you're only going to have probably 10 pretty sizable ones before you end up getting to 6, 7, 800,000, that being the turbo, the actuator, things like that. So Cummins is reliable, but you need to make sure you save your money when dealing with the Cummins, because that big one will come. Now let's go into the next one. We have Volvo, we have Mack. What a lot of people don't know is that Mack and Volvo are basically of the same thing. I think it's Scania is the parent company over the top of it. That's the European trucks that you see. Now, Volvo and Mack, Volvo has an engine called the D13, 13 liter. Not to be confused with the DD13, which I talked about in the beginning of the video. It's the D13 Volvo engine. It also has the transmission, which is the I-shift. And then Mack has the MP8, which used to be the MP7. Now, the MP8 is literally a D13. It's painted red. And it makes you wonder, why would I go out and spend top dollar on a Volvo when I can just get a Mack because it has the same engine? Very good point. Very good, reason to buy a Mack versus a Volvo. I've owned both. I actually own both right now. And I think the Volvo is put together a little bit better. I think that the interior comfort of a Volvo is a little bit more comfortable, sometimes more spacious, depending on what type of model that you get. I'm interested on how the Pioneer model is. It doesn't look too good. I like the bulky, grunt-looking Mack Anthem. I thought they looked good. But internally, as far as the engine goes, it's the same exact thing. Same thing with the M shift. That's just an I shift. It's the same thing. So just like if you see a trend here, you have the D13, you have the Freightliner. Sometimes Western Stars are less expensive than Freightliners for some reason. And they'll have their issues. And like I mentioned, the Internationals with the International engines in it cheaper. The PACCAR trucks, the Kenworth and Peterbilts with the PACCAR MX-13 in it is cheaper than the one with the Cummins. And in this situation, the Volvos are more expensive than the Macks. So same situation, you see a trend here. There's kind of 2 options: the economical version, and there's the more fancy version. And it's weird because if you go all the way back to the Freightliner takes up such a large market share. You see more Freightliners than any other truck. The Western Star is supposed to be the Cadillac of trucking, but you usually find those for cheaper. And I don't know why. I've heard Some of them have issues with the windshield wipers, and some of them have more electrical problems than Freightliners. They all have electrical problems, but I've heard some bad things about Western Stars sometimes. So that's a general breakdown of all the trucks that you can get. You can get a Cummins engine inside of a Volvo as well. You can get a Cummins engine inside of a Mack as well. And they have different tiers of those engines. You can get it spec'd for heavy haul. You can get it spec'd for different things. And that's where they adjust the torque rating and the wheelbase and the gear ratio so that they can pull harder. But that's a breakdown of all the different trucks. And you want to think about that, I would say, more for your second purchase, because once you're a company driver for a year, there's a good chance you're going to drive either a Freightliner, a Volvo, you might drive any of these trucks, to be honest, but you want to find out what truck you like. And if you've only driven one truck and your budget is $30, $40, $50,000, go buy a really solid International LT that was taken care of with the Cummins engine in it, just to get you something. It's a little cheap, but it's going to make you money. And then whenever you save up your money again, and maybe you're working on a loan, you've been an owner operator for a little bit, maybe you can be picky and choosy and say, I want to try out this Mack. I hear good things about the Volvo engine, or I want to try out a Freightliner. These all have different price ranges. The Freightliners, I think they're way overpriced for what it's worth. Volvo's oftentimes way overpriced for what it's worth. I think the Mack is a sweet spot because you're getting about a $10,000 to $15,000 discount on the mileage when you compare a Mack engine to a Volvo engine. And with the Western Stars and Freightliners, you can get the Western Stars for a little bit cheaper. And when you compare the mileage and the PACCAR and the Peterbilt, I would stick to Cummins just simply because of the breakdown factor that you have. When you're an over-the-road truck driver, you might be out for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and you might be taking a load out to Colorado, and it's a really good paying load, and your truck breaks down, and you look in the area and there's not a PACCAR dealership for 200 miles, and you're broke down on the side of the road. Well, you're going to have to deal with getting it towed to a PACCAR dealership. You're going to have to wait if you have a warranty. If they don't have the parts, it's the weekend. You're going to have to get the load repowered. You're going to have to figure something out. And that's just a situation you don't want to be in. Whereas if you had a Cummins, there might be a chance where there's a diesel shop 50 miles down the road. Well, that tow bill is probably going to be a lot less if it's 50 miles versus 200 miles. And you could get it done the same day. There's a good chance that you could probably get it towed in the same day, get it to the shop if it's within hours, and probably get fixed the same day if they have the part. So hopefully I helped you here. I suggest owner-operators to think this through. People that want to be owner-operators, you really need to think through your decision before you buy a truck. Don't jump into it. It's not always what it seems. You can make really good money, but you're gonna struggle, and there's gonna be times where you want to give up, and there's gonna be times when you fail. Maybe you go back to company driving and come back in. You got to learn, and I think that making the large purchase on a truck is probably the most important thing that you can do, is to be well prepared with a mechanic that have savings saved up so that you can prepare yourself for when there is a breakdown, and also make a calculated decision on the truck that you get it inspected and look at it. So hopefully